Hi everyone, welcome. We're going to do a video on a very cool functionality RFID, and I'll have here together my colleague Max from Austria, and he's going to show us what he has built based on RFID over to a customer in Austria. Hi Max, how are you?
Hello. Thanks, I'm fine.
So thank you for having us and to showcase this solution you have done. It's a very cool solution. I've seen it, but let's share it. And could you talk about the business case behind it?
Yeah, the business case is based around what's called, the Industry 4.0 goals that the company has. It's a production company, and they want to track progress throughout all of their production process. What they did, they came up with a goal to track all their material that goes through production, and are doing so by tagging pallets, for example, with RFID tags. And these RFID tags then are going to be scanned by gates that are placed throughout the facilities, and they can be read by mobile devices like this one here to allow workers in the production facility to on the spot get information of the material that they are actually standing in front of.
That's a very good use case for mobility. So you built that application in SAPUI5 by leveraging the integration ability and the offline capabilities of Neptune.
Yes, so of course the front end is a typical Neptune application, as you for sure know, and in the back there's of course the offline capability working, and for this piece of hardware there's an additional Java API that speaks to the RFID hardware in it. We developed a Cordova plugin to make use of this RFID API. So for the Neptune application, it basically is just consuming this RFID plugin, which is an easy means to read and or write RFID information.
The user of the application will go throughout his warehouse, and he can actually read all the materials that are around him. So in one go, he can actually count and do the inventory counting of all the tags and materials that are in the vicinity of the device.
Yes, possible scenarios are not only the inventory counting, but also the worker keeping track of a stack of material that is lying in front of a machine, for example. He can scan all the material, get information of the production order that belongs to that material, and of course also for order confirmation, if they want to track time, to track amounts of the actual goods that they're producing, that they are working on. It's also easy to track this information, to confirm, so also to input, to add some information on the mobile device and combine this information, connect it with the actual goods, with the actually tagged pallets, for example. So not only the reading use case where we read the tags and then either have offline data or connect to SAP and read information about the production orders, but also write tags to be able to, for example, have tags like this one here that has a barcode. These get pre-produced or get prepared by some production workers, and we can either read the barcode or also use the barcode to scan the barcode information and later on write this barcode information as RFID information into the tag.
Very good, very good. So you show us the device. Well, that kind of device is a device that actually obviously has the hardware to handle both the scanning as well as the reading and writing of RFID. Is this solution kind of constrained to a specific type of or brand of hardware, or this is a solution that can be used on a broader level using other kind of manufacturers?
The plugin that we wrote can actually be adapted to work with any kind of RFID hardware. I mean, basically, you would have two different types of models. You have tablets with either an integrated RFID hardware in it or some kind of RFID hardware attached to any regular mobile device. And the only thing that we would have to take care of is that the API that the RFID hardware is providing, we would just have to connect that to our Cordova plugin, which makes it easy for us to consume this RFID functionality in our applications.
So actually you could use any kind of standard devices, such as the Zebra devices or others. You could actually use that kind of hardware without any kind of problem, as long as you make this close this gap between the plugin and the API from the hardware manufacturer.
Yes, right. That's what Cordova, all these phone gap plugins, you know, they bridge the gap, what these are made for, and the plugin that we created is specifically made to talk to RFID APIs. And these APIs may vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, yes, but integrating them into our existing plugin should be no great deal.
So can we actually see it a little bit in action?
Yes. So the device they're using is the device that is used throughout the production facilities. And for, as I said, for this production use case, these are kind of tags that the customer is using in the, or they're tagging onto the pallets. So these are the tags, and I'm going to demonstrate more than two functionalities of the application with these tags. So I got a couple of these tags here, and one use case would actually be, as we said before, an inventory scan, or maybe to get information of a pallet filled with goods, filled with tags. And I can do on the application, do an inventory scan. It's going to take a configured amount of time. It's going to read cycles, and the result will then be a list showing you how often each of these tags were read on the inventory scan, and the application could then go on, you know, to interpret these results. Do I want to do a full inventory scan? Do I want to pick, you know, the best tags? The more read counts you have, the nearer the tags actually are. So that's an example for an inventory scan. And for this specific use case for these tags, actually the customer is going to scan the barcode that is printed on there. They're going to scan the barcode and write this information, this number, onto the RFID part of the tag. So in the app could look like this. Start the scan, scan the barcode number, and hold the tag up to the device. Yeah, it's gonna ask me for confirmation because there is already a number on there. So it recognized it. I can say, yes, please do that. Please continue writing. And the little progress icon tabs on the top are going to show you that it's going to be written. The red thing in here, the confirming read failed, basically because I have too much other tags lying next to each other. As you see, RFID is a directionless technology. So if you're going to write a tag, you have to make sure that there is no other tag in the vicinity, because you could actually write more than once. But the application is taking care of that, and yeah, gives you the information if the right tag was right or not.
Okay, super. That was a very cool demo. I really like it. I like the simplicity and the fact that you actually can do this even when you are offline. And that's leveraged, of course, by the Neptune UX platform. The The plugin, as you said, can, and again, I will rephrase this plugin will actually can be adapted to other hardware, which means that even when the customer already has scanners or devices that are in place, you can actually convert those devices using an external hardware to perform the RFID as an extension of their existing hardware. So the overall investment wouldn't have to be starting from scratch, but actually reuse the hardware, the existing hardware, with an extended hardware. Of course, that had to be looked case by case, but that's also a possibility if I understood correctly.
Yes, maybe let me show you that. Let me show you my screen here.
So this is the app, right? This is the app that we were just seeing.
Yes, this is the same app. Basically, if you look closely, you can see that there's 3 different history tables. Cache enabled, which shows you the offline functionality in there, allowing for.
You just have to set the model as a WebSQL and enable cache as true, and that actually makes it offline.
Yes, that actually makes it offline. I can scan information offline and keep this data offline. Later on, send it off to SAP to bulk save or whatever you want to do with that information. And for the RFID part in here, it's basically just a matter of inside your JavaScript that you have, just use the RFID reader plugin that we are providing, and this plugin basically is your abstraction layer. That's your API that you would use in your Neptune application. So let me jump to the right part here. You would, for example, have a read tag method, maybe. So this is my read tag method that I call in my application, and in this method I simply call a method out of the RFID reader plugin, provide 2 different callback functions, what I want to do if the read was successful, what I want to do if the read was not successful, and basically that's the use of the RFID reader plugin in our application.
So basically, as I can see, this is typically, I can see that barely 10 lines of JavaScript code just to be able to use what comes out of this plugin API to handle the read of the tag. And I can see as well that you have the scanning behind, just below, and the write function as well. So as everyone can see, this is not that complicated to, once you do the Cordova plugin part and closing the gap between that and the hardware, is not that much code that requires to actually read, scan, and write the tag.
Right, and as you said before, if you were to exchange the underlying hardware, if you were to change the RFID hardware, make it internal on devices, have it attached externally, actually the app itself would not have to change, provided that the plugin that we use is able to talk to the according API. But the API layer would just be included in the mobile build, in the Neptune Launchpad build that you would create, and inside your application you would only just have to make sure that all the information is already there, but this call basically would not have to change.
Very good, which means that in fact I could keep my app as is and just change the hardware by changing the plugin for it. So minimal changes in terms of for the users, although you have shifted completely from one hardware to another one. So that's a very good way of doing it, as I can see. So, but what this does in the end is that when you are actually saving the data to SAP, how is that done? It's done through ABAP, correct?
Yes, it is done through ABAP. So the way from Neptune application into the ABAP is, of course, through a so-called AJAX call, calling this asynchronous JavaScript call. And in your Neptune application, you would basically just define this AJAX call. The table that I'm using for this example is for information about measuring equipment. So there's measuring equipment being tagged with RFID tags. This is the kind of information that's going to be collected here. There's an AJAX ID. And if I switch to the class builder, it shows me the ABAP class corresponding to this Neptune application. Going to this class, and as a nice little tutorial, just follow through. There's this handle on the AJAX method, in which I can check, that's the AJAX ID. I actually want to save my RFID write entries for measuring equipment. And that's just good old ABAP. As you can see here, if you look closely, I'm just writing some kind of history information about the device, about the tag that actually was written, and in that case, update the table for equipment with the corresponding EPC, so the electronic product code that was written to the RFID tag.
Okay, so here you could use standard function modules, classes, etc. to handle the data, the RFID data, depending, of course, on the process. In this case, this is a simple code, as everyone can see. But of course, you can actually put either standard ACP functionality as well as custom one, as you just said. This looks very, very nice, and I can see perfectly a lot of use cases for this. As we mentioned, there is other possibilities as well on production, not only on inventory counting, but the use case that we're trying here to see is that you are able to utilize mobility to simplify processes.
Yes, and the nice thing about it is you would not have to do it all as a, especially with RFID, as an all-in-one project. At the customer, they're taking a big step towards this Industry 4.0 scenario, but you would also be able to do it in smaller steps. Introducing RFID hardware, if you do not have it, is an important step on its own. But that would be basically just the start, because having tags throughout your production facility really allows you to gain more insight on your processes, to track, to collect more information, to track, for example, your goods throughout the production, and combined with mobile devices, that would allow you, of course, to not only collect information anywhere, but also have access to information anywhere.
Since we're talking about mobility, we would, this kind of scenario can always use other kind of technology, such as beacons and other kind of tags, and that's a matter of the plugin that you use.
Yes, RFID is a special case in that matter on its own, because RFID is usually not present on mobile devices, especially not in consumer devices. But for example, NFC, near field communication is, and using NFC technology is just for the Neptune application used in the same way you would just use a Cordova plugin, access the NFC hardware on your device, and NFC is omnipresent. NFC is easily accessed via the Android operating system. And yeah, so it doesn't matter to the user, maybe it doesn't matter if it's RFID or if it's NFC. If the device is able to talk to different other devices or to scan some information, then we are able to leverage that into our Neptune application.
Very good, very good. Okay, Max, thank you so much for this session. I really appreciated your time and really enjoyed seeing what you guys have done.
I'm also would like to take the opportunity and give you the chance, if you have any questions, dear listeners to this video, just come to the Neptune UX Summit, which is coming up in June this year in Oslo.
Exactly, this will be held in the 1st of June here in Oslo. It's the Neptune UX Summit, and we're going to have very exciting partners and customers presenting, as we did last year. And actually, I'll post the link just here down for the videos that were made last year by customers such as Vodafone, Luxottica, and others. So it's very interesting videos to see, and it's a super interesting summit to participate in.
Yes, another customer there was BHDT, actually the customer that I'm doing this Industry 4.0 project with. They have been at the summit last year as well. So I can really recommend going to the summit because it's a good way to exchange experiences, you know, to just have kind of nice talks with each other and, you know, talk about what's possible.
Absolutely. You can all find us there, and we'll be glad to answer your questions and to showcase and introduce you to the right people for you to actually understand what are the capabilities and what are people using the Neptune UX platform for. So for now, I would like to thank Max. Max, thank you so much for having this time.
My side, it was a pleasure doing this video. Looking forward to any more stuff that will show up here on this channel.